Does it seem you and your partner have the same fight over and over again regarding finances? Do you see your partner as the penny pincher or the shopaholic? Well, what if I were to tell you that understanding these roles that we're playing is really the root of our problem? And Trinity is not cooperating right now.
No, I don't know why she decided she has to go up and get a hug now.
I think she wants to go shopping. Well, at any rate, we're going to try to understand.
She almost got you, right? She licked you?
No, she hit her head on the mic.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, trying to understand these roles that we play and where they come from are really going to be the root of your issue of finance. Welcome to Boundaries and Beyond, the podcast that empowers you to set boundaries and nurture self-care, as well as have happier, healthier relationships. I'm Jennifer, your co-host.
And I'm Dr. Pokerel, your other co-host. And joining us is Trinity, the real junkyard dog.
Say hello.
And sometimes Toby doesn't want to be left out, so
yeah,
he's spread out on the front of us.
Yes. I hear the term boundaries thrown around a lot these days, but what does that term actually mean? We're here to clear all that up.
In every episode, we'll break it all down for you, share practical tips for building better boundaries so you can have healthier, happier, more balanced lives. And yes, we are that good.
Oh my goodness. Does it seem you and your partner have the same fight over and over again regarding finances? Do you see your partner as the penny pincher or the shopaholic? Well, what if I were to tell you that understanding these roles that we're playing is really the root of our problem? And Trinity is not cooperating right now.
No, I don't know why she decided she has to go up and get a hug now.
I think she wants to go shopping. Well, at any rate, we're going to try to understand.
She almost got you, right? She licked you?
Yeah, no, she hit her head on the mic, I think.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, trying to understand these roles that we play and where they come from are really going to be the root of your issue of finances. And
okay, why don't you get Trinity a little bit squared away there, and what you're trying to get at is that a lot of our behaviors come from the way we grew up and the issues we had around money.
Yes.
And those are what therapists call money scripts.
Yes.
So in our last episode, we talked about just the basics of finance and how couples should approach it. And it is important to approach the marriage as a company.
Yeah.
And we call that episode Marriage Inc. But a lot of times when couples are not working things out and they keep having the same fight, there's a reason for it. And we're going to talk about some of that. Yeah. So some of the authorities on this, Kloons, Kloontz, you can look at the author, up the author, and some other ones, Deborah Kaplan is the other one, Kaplan with a K, have provided us some insights into where these scripts come from. And they have to do with the way we grew up and our parents or other caregivers handled money.
Yeah, yeah. And I just spoke with my mother this weekend, and that was a really interesting conversation because she shed some light on where my money scripts came from. And it's funny, your parents, like my mother and my father, never sat me down and told me this was what was going on. But we picked it up intuitively as kids, and kids do that. They'll pick it up by your body language or your actions. I remember my mother was very, very frugal, And I mean, we shopped at the fire sale for our clothes. We got hand-me-downs. But yet my mom and dad were always driving Cadillacs and Lincolns and really nice cars. They dressed nicely and so it was very confusing. The message was very mixed for us as kids. My mother explained to me that my father was a gambler.
Yeah, and that's something that I think you just learned, right?
Yeah, I didn't realize that. And so that would trigger her fear of, we got to save everything we've got. We can't indulge in anything. And my mother grew up with my grandmother from the Depression, and my grandmother was really thrifty. And so he triggered her need to penny pinch, and I'm sure her being frugal probably triggered his craziness around money and risk taking with money. There is this constant power struggle between the two of them. And so you and I, not to that extreme, but we sort of played that out in our marriage. We've gotten better over the last 17 years when we really started trying to tackle it.
And I would say, from my perspective, we didn't start getting better until the last couple of months.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell who's the penny pincher in the relationship?
So part of the issue is when we were trying to do these episodes, we've gotten behind in our schedule because we kept getting triggered.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get going. And every time we start talking about some of these issues, we'd even get into a fight or an argument.
Yeah.
And then we have to go back and start over and start working through what we've learned around boundaries and self-care and everything.
Yeah.
And I think we're in a better place now. But even this has been therapeutic for us.
Yes, it has. And I would say this is probably our last big issue. And I will admit that I've tried to derail it or ignore it because it's scary to me. Exactly what it took to get to this point, has always been scary because I see the old scripts of how we used to do things, and it's hard to get out of that.
Before we started recovery and therapy. So just to touch base on some of the terms we'll be using, we'll come back to these, but you mentioned you would derail it. So that's the money avoidance behavior. So that's an actual type of behavior that's associated with just not wanting to deal with finances and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I have money avoidance too, but I was dealing with more with a money vigilance. And those can be self-explanatory, but as we go through it, we'll explain it a little bit more.
And surprisingly, I rated money vigilance too, but
you didn't realize it.
You've got the degree in psychology. I'm working on mine, but why don't you explain what that?
Well, we'll come back to that. But the other one is that my father and both my grandfathers were workaholics, and on the other side, my mother didn't believe in saving.
Yeah.
So that's where a lot of their conflicts come. My father was a workaholic. What you call penny pincher is the money vigilance behavior. And on the other hand, my mother was the overspender, which some people would refer to as a compulsive spender or shopaholic. So those are the kind of things we'll be talking about and where do they come from. But more importantly, where can we get help? Where can couples get help? Because we went through quite a bit, and there wasn't up until recently, there weren't really financial therapists. Yeah. And that's a relatively young field. But you can actually find financial therapists, and a lot of financial advisors. I'm not talking about investors. Yeah. A lot of people that deal with trying to square away people's finances have some kind of background in financial therapy and can guide you as well. Might be a little bit cheaper than seeing an actual therapist. Yeah. but it just depends on what your goals are.
Yeah.
Right? So we talked, you mentioned, I think you said roles. I don't know if you said roles, but role or modeling is something very important for children. So when people model healthy behavior, when parents model healthy behavior, the children tend to emulate that. And that's not a secret. Some people might be surprised how powerful that pattern is. What we're talking about, what the people in the financial therapy field call it, is money scripts. I've heard the term money templates, but they also use the term scripts. So these scripts come from how we experience money growing up. So, and by the way, you don't have to be, you can be at any end of the financial spectrum and still have issues. One of the ways that these form is like either trauma or drama around money. If parents have a lot of fights around money, especially in front of the kids, and by the way, having arguments in front of the kids is not necessarily a bad thing, but having fights, drag out fights, yelling, screaming, that's where the problem is.
The dysfunctional name calling,
that kind of stuff. So dysfunctional fights in front of kids are not helpful, but when kids see parents work things out, is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. Although that didn't happen, I don't recall any of that happening. It was all intuitive. You
mean you didn't witness fights?
I don't recall that. No, I just remember. I just saw my parents' actions, and it was very confusing to me. And so the script that I grew up with is, well, I can't wait till I'm an adult like them, and then I can get new clothes and a new car like them. The saving and scrimping was for the kids, and spending money was for adults. My mother was in real estate also, so she had to look very professional. She couldn't show up in a hatchback.
So that's interesting. That's one of the scripts about money, is money status. So, and that makes sense that your parents had to look the part because they were in real estate. So a lot of times financial investors need to look the part, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the money status. You got to show that you are able to make people money.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that can be confusing if at the same time they're struggling with to make ends meet, for example, if there's gambling issues.
Yeah, but that wasn't explained. I guess it was just kind of like, well, you're the kids. Just back then, you didn't really explain a whole lot to your kids. It was just, this is the way it is.
You mean us Gen Xers?
Yes, Gen Xers.
We weren't supposed to be inside the house, so the sun rose. We're supposed to be outside playing or in school.
Yeah.
And then we weren't allowed in until bedtime.
Yeah.
Whatever happened in the house during that time, we had no idea.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing that happened with me is I never saw them fight either about money, but I experienced a lot of the fighting after they were divorced. So it didn't happen in front of me, but then afterwards, and this brings us to another term, is financial enmeshment, where the parents use the child to meet their financial needs. And that was done after the divorce. A lot of the money transactions or communication that was going on with my parents after the divorce, and I was like 9 or 10 years old, even up until the point that I was about 17 or 18. I was the go-between. So they would use me to communicate to each other about where's the money, what money's needed, what the money needs to be spent on. And at the time, I didn't know any better. I thought that was my job. And since I was
you were made to ask for the money.
Right.
And did you do it correctly each time?
Well, I'm sure I did not.
Yeah. You tell your dad.
No, I had to go several times to do this. And it was more from one person was a little bit more at fault, but the other one didn't put a stop to it either.
Yeah. And I've seen that where the child is being used to have hard conversations, and the dad, who let's say is trying to save money, says, "You tell your mother not one more dime," and so then you go to mom and say, "Well, Dad says we shouldn't spend a lot of money." So you're not.
And then they shoot the messenger.
Yeah, they shoot the messenger. You don't exactly relay the message the right way. Maybe it was a specific amount that you had to tell them that they needed to stop spending or whatever. So imagine the insanity of this.
It's very chaotic for a child to be dealing with that. Rather than actually sitting us down and talking to us about the finances, because I never really had that talk.
Yeah.
I just knew that there were financial issues. And the interesting thing is, when I was growing up, I had a similar attitude like you. Is I need to grow up, make my own money, so I don't depend on anybody else.
Yeah.
And that's actually going to the other extreme.
Yeah.
So now we're jumping around a lot. I guess we just got into the discussion, but we're gonna structure this a little bit. We already touched on some of them, but so the money scripts come because of drama or trauma. So extreme poverty can be very traumatic.
Yeah.
I remember talking to one of the couples, and the woman, this particular couple, said that growing up she was adopted. She grew up through the foster care system, and she got hand-me-down underwear.
Wow.
Yeah, that is awful.
Yeah.
When she talked about it, she got teary-eyed, and tears started coming out. And I understood the pain that she was going through just from hearing that and watching her. But she was trying to correct that. She actually was currently a very successful businesswoman, but she still was carrying that pain from before. And it was affecting her marriage. Well, it was one of the issues affecting her marriage. So emotional wounding, that its own process, especially if it's around money.
Yeah.
So if let's say your parents, rather than teach you the value of money, they try to keep you calm by giving you toys or buying you stuff when you threw a tantrum.
Yeah.
Those are behaviors that are problematic.
Yeah. Yeah, that's telling the kid that, oh, if I feel bad, I just need to go out and spend my. Hence the shot. What is it? Retail therapy.
Right, and that is one of the terms.
Luckily,
that
I
is
never
used.
got that. That was never a thing for me. So I just liked to shop. It didn't matter if I was in a bad mood or a good mood.
Yeah, I beg to differ when I get the credit card bill.
Yes.
I know when you went out for retail therapy and when I get the credit card bill. So rationalizing. So retail therapy is the form of rationalization.
Yeah.
That we justify their need to spend.
I had
so
a
we can
really
make
bad day. Which,
Right.
Can you imagine if I lost my job?
And then go spend money?
Yeah, and I see that happen.
Yeah, we see that. We see that in other couples, and that can be quite stressful for the other member of the couple. Okay.
Yeah.
Beliefs about money, rigid beliefs, and they can be conflicting. You mentioned some of yours. I mentioned mine. So my mother didn't believe in saving. She thought that money was meant to be spent. That's of course, luckily I never bought into that.
Yeah.
But that was still confusing. And then my father was always trying to save money. I later found out that he was actually always in debt.
Yeah.
It was the whole thing was very confusing, and no wonder I struggle with those money scripts.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes the thing to keep in mind is that a lot of these scripts are meant to protect us emotionally, so they served some kind of purpose. And some of them are actually can be positive; they're not necessarily bad.
Yeah.
So being frugal is not a bad thing.
No.
The problem is when you hoard it, which is the other.
Or
we keep hopping around, but the other behavior is hoarding money and hoarding objects.
Yeah. And that can be triggered by a spender. One person's hoarding, the other. Under normal circumstances, they're probably just normal people, but then when you put them together, one's triggering the other one's need to hoard, and the hoarder is triggering the shopper to shop.
And how many times did we see that with other couples they had that issue? One was compulsively spending, and they couldn't stop, and the other one was reacting by hoarding or even hiding money. We talked about how usually when there's when there's a secret bank account or a secret credit card,
Oh, yeah.
that there might be something nefarious, but sometimes it could be that another.
We saw that at the spa a lot. A lot of the wives.
When we were in aesthetics, you're going to have to explain what that means.
Well, we had a medical spa, and what was it, 85, 90% of our population were women. You know, there's the power struggle between them and their husbands. So some of the women, not all of them, it was a smaller population.
It was a good chunk.
Well, it was a little disturbing how they had these wild schemes on how to. One person, she waited till her husband was out of town, and then she'd get procedures because he didn't want to see bruises on her face. Another one only paid in cash. I'm not sure how she got the cash, but so she didn't want any paper trails.
And this is where she would pull out thousands of dollars in cash.
Big wads.
So that was a big conflict, but not just this, but in general, one partner is hiding it from another, and it doesn't necessarily have to be shopping.
Yeah.
Don't want to insinuate that it's primarily a women's problem. Shopaholic.
We know someone. She's the penny pincher. He's the shopaholic. Yeah, they're a hilarious couple.
Yeah, they're funny, but it's not so funny when they have the discussion. So, but the point I was getting at is that this affects men too.
Yeah.
And nowadays with the ability to shop online with Amazon, make it so easy, it's real easy to lose track of how much.
I finally learned with that to make a grocery list like you do like your groceries, and with that. It's funny how many, like probably 25% of the stuff I put on the grocery list, I'm like later, so I only make a purchase like once or twice a month. And so when it comes to the purchase, I'm like, oh, I don't really need that after all. So that's probably a good way to get away from the impulse. Like it's 2 a.m. and I can't go to sleep. I just remembered I want that little decanter. So yeah, that's a good way to get away from the impulse spending.
Okay, so the first term, we already hopped around quite a bit, but it's money avoidance. That's one of the scripts. So there's 4 major scripts: money avoidance, money worship, money status, and money vigilance. Okay,
and so can you define those?
And by the way, you have a predominant aspect of these. You can have several features of each one of those, but there's going to be a more dominant one.
And how would you find out which one you are?
So there is the Clunes scales that you can take online. If you Google that, the money scales or money script scales, KLOON, N as in Nancy, T as in Tom, Z as in zebra. Clunes money scales or script scales, you can find them online. It asks you a series of questions, you give them a number, and then you come with a score, and then you can look up where you're at in the spectrum of money scripts. So those with money avoidance, money scripts may resist budgeting, investing, managing finances, or even learning about money. So they just resist all that.
That's you?
I would avoid the bills.
Oh, okay.
And often I was late. I would get a late notice and then pay it.
Yeah, that drove me nuts.
Yeah, so that's part of that wasn't my dominant thing, but that was one.
Yeah.
So money worship, and by the way, you can figure these out, but just gives you an idea of what they mean.
What's money worship? I mean, obviously it's somebody who loves money, but what are some subversive things that?
So essentially, money is going to make me happier.
Okay.
That's the basic line, and it's going to solve all my problems. So essentially, it's like, that's what it is. You're worshiping money. Money's like a god to you. It's going to resolve all your problems and make you happier. Now, there are studies showing that people with more money tend to be happier up to a point.
Yeah, up to, I think, 70,000.
No, it's just living comfortably.
Yeah, living comfortably. Then after that,
It doesn't have any additional value in terms of happiness. So living comfortably is what the goal is.
Yeah.
And
in fact, people that are lottery winners talk about how it ruined their lives. There was a lottery winner in this town that it tore apart their marriage. It was horrible.
yeah, and there's a lot of stories about that. In fact, there's an entire field that studies that. People with money avoidance have found predicts a range of self-defeating money behaviors, including compulsive buying, hoarding, financial enabling, and financial denial, and workaholism. Okay, I at least had two of those, which was the avoidance and the workaholism, right? Am I saying that? Am I pronouncing that? Workaholism.
Yeah, sounds
Okay.
right.
So in money worship, it's associated with hoarding, finance dependence. So in other words, you live off other people, even as an adult. Financial enabling, financial denial, and workaholism. I'm having trouble with that word. Okay, so the other money script, the third one is money status. So the classic example in literature is keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
So the more money you have, the more status you have, the more important you are.
Is that person that brags about how much they're making?
Yeah. Because they see it as equal in their self-worth.
Yeah.
Okay, and that can be associated. If you see money that way, then you're obviously never going to have enough.
Yeah.
So workaholism is one of them, and then obviously spending money to look good. What economists call conspicuous consumption. Okay, so they're essentially consumerist. I think that's a term. Anyway, I don't want to get into too much of that because I'm stepping out of my sandbox, as we say. And then the last one is money vigilance, which goes along the penny pinching. So those with money vigilance script tends to be watchful and guarded about their finances. For them, money's about security. Now, sometimes it's associated with a lot of frugality, so that's not necessarily a bad thing. These people often are pretty secure financially. The problem is when they go to the extreme and they hoard it.
Wasn't it our son that rated his money?
Yeah, our oldest son apparently his score was high. He wasn't on the extreme side, but he was a little bit on the higher side of that part of the scale. Obviously, he was learning some of that from us.
Yeah.
So he's aware of it now. Okay. So we jumped around a lot. Yeah. So then those are the scripts. And then there's behaviors and mindsets that come from that. And so we can talk about now.
Well, so let's jump in.
There's compulsive behaviors. There's relational behaviors. In other words, a relationship with money and how they can affect the relationship, and mindsets about money, right? So the one that most people are familiar with is, well, I don't know that most people are, but at least most of us can relate, or many of us can relate, is workaholism. So that is an actual compulsive disorder. People with workaholism, they think about work constantly and feeling guilty and restless when they're not working. Workaholics have protective inner parts that use work to suppress and medicate the underlying emotional pain.
Okay.
And I can attest to that. I felt when I was actually at work, I would just feel numb.
Yeah.
And I sometimes found reasons not to leave work just so I could keep working and stay numb. That doesn't fare well for a relationship.
No. And in fact, the irony is when you started taking more time off, you became more productive.
Yeah, then that's another interesting thing is because people are just engaging in compulsive behavior, and you're not looking to just get the work done, you're just looking to work for the sake of working. But there's also, they have lower rates of job satisfaction, ironically. Okay, so here's some of the signs. They prioritize work over personal life.
Oh, Yeah. Hmm.
They
So does that mean, like, are they taking vacations? Are they going to the doctor? How can you tell if you're, because most aholics don't think they're aholics.
right. So usually it's the family members that notice it.
Okay. Okay. So if you're noticing your family members saying you're a workaholic, what are some signs though that you can kind of know that I'm taking this too far?
Okay, well, that's, for example, they spend most of the day worrying about work, even on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
So the people that take their
Their
work home,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
struggling to switch off or working while on vacation.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a pretty telltale sign. If you're working during vacation, that means you're probably dealing with a workaholic.
Yeah.
Checking emails in the middle of the night. Work emails.
Yeah. That's not good.
No,
No.
but we all do it.
Yeah. I don't.
I try not to.
Yeah.
So in fact, I just try after 7 o'clock at night. I just don't try not to check emails.
I check emails at 11 a.m. and that's it. You know, but some people will do twice a day. I've heard also like 11 a.m. and maybe 4 p.m. But there's really, I used to have to even time myself 20 minutes, set a timer.
And when we go out, how many times do we see people like they're waiting in line,
Sitting on their phone.
they're sitting there having dinner, and they're on their phone.
Yeah, they're not making eye
They're
contact.
not communicating.
Yeah.
And I think we all realize that that is a problem.
Yeah.
At least most of us do. Mm-hmm. Okay, so being the first person to get to work and the last one to leave from work, about 46% report that. Feeling pressured or too busy to take annual leave. So if you have annual leave and vacation and you're being pressured to take that time off, then
Fine.
that's a sign. Okay. Working through lunch.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I still do that.
I felt like it just slowed me down, and I
Lunch slowed you down?
I would eat while I worked, and so yeah. But I don't check anything else off on there, though. I don't think, except that I would work till 3 a.m. But I was having fun sometimes, like when I was writing the manuals and stuff. I actually enjoyed it.
Well, feeling anxious if the person doesn't check in or know what's going on at work. Unfortunately, for those of us who are business owners, that's a common thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised. Well, not everybody's a business owner, but yeah, that was an issue. It still is. Being told by family and friends that I work too much. Okay, that we see that with all sorts of addictions.
Yeah.
You drink too much.
Yeah.
You smoke too much weed.
Yeah.
When that is actually one of the criteria for establishing if somebody's an alcoholic is,
Are you hearing that?
are you hearing that from family members? Checking emails first thing in the morning when you wake up.
Oh yeah, that's not a good way to get your brain focused. And
Yeah, I've tried to stop doing that.
you do that. Oh.
I still do it. I'm not doing it every day anymore,
Yeah.
but yeah, I do it. Let's move on to the next compulsive behavior, which is buying or spending. And that is becoming more of a problem because of how easy it is to shop online. I mean, a click of a button, you don't even have to get off the couch
Yeah.
to shop.
Yeah.
So,
Or out of bed.
so compulsive shoppers are people who are indeed trying to do the retail therapy. We talked about that already.
Okay.
Shopping is a response to stress, away their protector parts. In other words, their defense mechanism is what they mean when they say protector parts. Used to avoid or soothe emotional pain. For them, shopping serves the same function as work does for a workaholic or alcohol does for an alcoholic.
Okay.
They are seeing this. By the way, some schools of thought use compulsion and addiction overlapping. That's not always the case, but there's a lot of similarities between addictions and compulsive behaviors.
Yeah.
A lot of these compulsive buyers or compulsive buying is associated with anxiety, depression, OCD, low self-esteem, sensation seeking. So thrill seeking, by the way, thrill seeking would be, adrenaline junkies would be something to that effect.
Boredom.
Yeah, people that I don't want to be bored, so I'm going to shop. Okay, but they're overrepresented in substance abusers as well.
Of course.
And now that a lot of the compulsive buying has the same cycle as addiction, which is 3 steps. You buy or behave compulsively, essentially to medicate. Then there's a withdrawal, where you experience what's called negative affect, but essentially a lot of people refer to it as a shame cycle. You start experiencing shame around something that I shouldn't have bought that. Now I have buyer's remorse, that kind of thing. And then they become preoccupied with the issue, and then they medicate again by shopping.
Yeah.
So that's that addiction cycle or shame cycle. The other one, the other compulsive one, and this one's also becoming more common because of online gambling, but it's compulsive gambling. But it's not just gambling in sports.
Gamble legally online?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
You
that.
can, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I watched the UFC fights, and they have I think it's called DraftKings, where you can actually bet. You can do live bets, pre-fight bets, and you can change your bets as the fight goes on.
How's that legal?
Well, I don't know, but it is.
Okay.
Anyway, it is legal, and people do it, and that can be a problem.
Yeah.
But the other thing to keep in mind, things like day trading can be addictive because they're looking for that dopamine high.
Oh, yeah. That's a huge addiction.
Right, and that's a reward system.
Yeah.
And we also see it in gaming because the gaming, it's trying to give you that reward, so you spend more money. It's not technically gambling, but it is.
It's the same. It's playing on the same principle.
And the people that run casinos and stuff know all this very.
Yeah, they've studied it. They know exactly when to give you the win and keep you hooked.
Yes. And hoarding is the other compulsive one. We talked a little bit about that. And I don't think we need to spend too much time on that. I think people are familiar with it. There are mild forms of hoarding. Like I lived with someone that would collect pickle jars. And to this day, she does collect pickle jars for no good reason. What she doesn't know, what this person doesn't know, is that I periodically empty that pickle jar cabinet.
Goodness.
Because they keep accumulating, so I get rid of a few.
Yeah.
And the pickle jar lids.
You know, they don't leak or anything either.
Whatever.
They're so nice.
So, but of course, if you've seen that show Hoarders, those are the extreme cases, and they're really, they're really disturbing to watch how these people they just have nothing but junk.
Oh, yeah.
And if you try to get rid of any of it,
they have a fit.
They have a fit, and they're experiencing. It's like you're taking something out of them.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of anxiety around losing stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
a lot of the hoarding is trauma based. So that often there's something that triggers. They may be fine, and then suddenly a loved one dies, or it starts out with, oh, I'm just going to save their clothes. I'm not going to throw those away. But then it turns into, now I'm going to save these grocery bags and things that are completely useless, but they can't part with them. Yeah. So I'm sure money is very similar. I know that people that grew up during the Great Depression, that was an ongoing trauma. People dying because they didn't have money they didn't have a car to get to the hospital, or just the horrible hardships that they had to go through over and over and over, and watching everyone around you going through the same thing. And so I don't think that people who, the people living, if there's anyone still living, they're very, very old. But people our age probably have a grandparent that we remember that really couldn't throw things away. I know my grandmother would wash and reuse the same paper towel over and over and over, or plastic bags.
Oh my gosh, you still do that?
I don't keep plastic bags.
We have an entire drawer full of plastic bags.
We do?
Yes.
They're not mine.
Sure, we're going to blame it on the kids.
Yeah, well, I don't know where those are.
We hear the similar stories from people that escaped communism.
Yeah.
They sat in bread lines.
Yeah.
That's the whole day. They couldn't even go to work. They was have to stand in line to get bread or any kind of food. My family left Cuba, they left with nothing. The communists took everything from them, so they came and had to start over. There was a certain mindset of the government can come and take your things any day now. And I think to some extent, a lot of the younger generations don't hear that. They don't think that could happen.
Yeah.
And at least among the Cuban community, they remind their kids, this is what happened. This can still happen. Make sure you take care of your things and appreciate what you've got.
Well, or it's the other extreme. I think that could have something to do with why your mother felt like money is to be spent because the government's going to come get it anyway.
Exactly.
So might as well use it.
Well, she had pretty severe trauma. She was one of the Peter Pan children that came out of Cuba. There's a comedian, just go sidetrack here a little bit. There's a comedian who was saying that it's real hard growing up with a Cuban mom. Because I come in and I said, I have a hard day in school today. And she would say, oh, really? So did somebody take your liberty today? Did somebody kill somebody in front of you? What do you have to complain about? Anyway, he was using it as part of his comedy routine, but that was not unlike the stories I grew up hearing about.
Yeah.
So let's move on to some of the other behaviors. Oh, actually, going back to hoarding. Hoarding is classified currently as an addiction. And so here's some of the questions that they ask people. Do you have trouble parting with possessions such as your pickle jars?
A holdover from the Depression.
Yes. Because of the clutter or number of possessions, how difficult is it to use the rooms and surfaces in your home?
Wow. Wow. Well, you can still use the shelves in the cabinet.
Yes, dear. You're not that bad. To what extent does hoarding and clutter affect your daily functioning? And here's one more. How much do these symptoms interfere with school, work, or your social or family life? And how much distress do these things cause you?
And that questionnaire I've seen used for all kinds of addictions.
Right.
You know.
So we define addictions. A lot of people, I heard somebody say, well, I'm not an alcoholic because I can go 2 months without drinking. And this was somebody on a podcast, I heard him say that. But here's the deal. That just means he doesn't have physical dependence. But the question is, what are the consequences of the drinking? For example, somebody might be able to go 2 months without drinking and not have an issue. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, do you have cirrhosis? Do you have oral cancer?
Have you gotten in the car?
Cancer?
Have you gotten in the car and driven while drunk?
Well, that's the other thing. He can drink 8 or 9 beers and be fine.
Wow.
So that to me, that's a sign that there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, but he doesn't see it that way. So the consequences or how it interferes with your daily life or your health are part of it. And I think this falls under that category as well. Okay, we're going to move a little bit faster. One of the relational behaviors is financial dependency. And here's what it's defined. Financial dependency, in the book by Klontz et al. It's one O, Klontz. I said 2 O's, but it's Klontz, Klontz. That's the author. He defines it as reliance on others for non-work income that creates fear or anxiety of being cut off, feelings of anger or resentment related to the non-work income, and stifling of one's motivation, passion, or drive to succeed. Okay, that's pretty complicated, but essentially what you're doing is you don't have any drive to make money and you rely on other people paying your way.
Like the 30-year-old son that's living in his parents' basement.
And doesn't have a job, can't find a job, that kind of thing. Then the other one is, the opposite side of it is financial enabling. If somebody doesn't want to work, but the parent, this is seen a lot with parents, especially towards their adult children. So they support them, they let them live at home, they don't encourage them to get a job, and they're 30, 40 years old, still living at home playing video games.
Yeah.
That's financial enabling.
Or a spouse that isn't pulling their part of the deal, where maybe they agreed that one would stay home with the children, but yet the person that agreed to go out and work to bring in money loses their job and isn't really trying, is playing video games instead of looking for a job.
Here are some signs of financial enabling. Sacrificing or jeopardizing the family's financial well-being to help other family members.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so really you need to look after your own finances first before you start giving money away.
Yeah.
Trouble saying no or setting limits on requests for money. So I see that a lot because we have a culture where people are encouraged to be givers.
Yeah.
But they really need to look at their own finances. So if you're not in a position to loan money, then you shouldn't be doing it. We use the overflowing cup, so you got to fill your own cup of self-care. Then once it starts overflowing, then that's when you give that extra.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And this applies here in the financial part is make sure that you're not in debt. You have your emergency fund. You're putting away a certain amount of money towards your retirement. Once all that is taken care of, you can take some of that money and give it away if that's what you want to do.
What was was it the 50, 30, 20 rule?
50, 30, 20 rule.
And so you live off 50% of your income.
After tax income.
After tax income.
20% goes towards savings. That includes retirement. And then the other 30% to live on. Now you can flip those two, the 30 and the 20, you can flip them. And 30% goes towards savings, 20% goes to just live on. So that 20% you can give away for whatever you want.
Okay, wait. So 50% you live on, 30% you save. The other 20% you live on? You use for yourself, vacations. Okay, so so that's like your slush fund.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Okay. So the 50% is
so that's your disposable income.
Okay, so the first 50% is like your groceries, your mortgage, your car
Bills.
So your bills and your kids' school clothes and that kind of stuff. But then that 20% is, let's go on a cruise at the end of the year, or let's save that for our kid's wedding, or
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a disposable income.
Okay.
We talked about trouble saying no, allowing couples or allowing the marriage finances to be repeatedly taken advantage of by others. So so essentially people are manipulating you for money. And and I don't remember the name of the characters, but in the book War and Peace, one of the main characters, the father, I can't remember, but he kept on giving his money away. People would come ask him for money and he couldn't say no. So essentially he squandered the entire family wealth. And then the worst part was when his son lost a lot of money in gambling, and the father paid it off. And rather than putting him to work to pay off his money, he ended up doing that for him. So that's the enabling.
Yeah.
And not being able to say no.
Yeah.
Okay.
And people often find that when they're moving up a level in socioeconomic status, if you move from poverty to middle class, lower middle class to upper middle class, and so on, that those family members that still haven't moved up with you, that they'll often try to guilt you into supplying them with money, paying for their habits or
whatever.
Whatever.
The other one is lending money without a clear agreement for repayment. Having a lending agreement, it's just sensible to have that and have the person sign it. Okay. Neglecting one's own financial well-being by giving money and then feeling resentful or angry. So when we feel resentful about giving money, that's a dead giveaway that we shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't know that we're going to be resentful often until afterwards. So that's a problem. We have to see what Trinity is wearing.
Yes, Trinity is wearing her little sundress with butterflies and a pink bow. Yes, I know.
Can you point it towards the camera so they can see it?
There we go. There's her pink bow. And
So it's got a pink bow.
yes, and her butterfly. Oh, she's getting tangled up. All right, Trinity. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for modeling that, Trinity.
Yes.
Let's bring it around and talk about some healthy behaviors around money, because we've talked about a lot of things that may be problematic, but parent and child, usually, and often adult child as well, discuss and understand that the money may be a one-time gift with no expectation of repayment. For example, a birthday gift.
Yeah.
Something like that. So just make it clear that that's what it is.
And this isn't something you get every birthday.
Right. You may not get it every birthday and can't get, let's say you give somebody money for their birthday, like we do with our son. If they want more money, they're going to have to work for it.
Yeah.
They're going to have to do a chore around the house or do something to work for it.
Yeah.
Make sure that when a person or a couple gives money, that is not going to harm their own personal finances. And that's key. You have to sit down and look at your finances and make sure that you can afford to give that money away. Okay. Also, when people ask you for money, make sure that the reason for the money is transparent. In other words, because this is about not enabling somebody.
Yeah.
So if they want money so that they can go buy alcohol, and this person might be an alcoholic, that might be a problem, right? You don't want to give them money because that will actually make things worse for an addict.
And how do you tell them no? If you're that person that's been used for that situation.
Well, the problem is they have trouble saying no.
Yeah.
You just say no. I can't do that. And they say, yeah, you can. You got plenty of money. You just won't give them in. And that's when you say, well, that's why I can't.
Yeah.
Because I'm not willing to. That's why I can't give it to you.
Okay.
Okay. And it's actually none of their business why you won't part with your money. I mean, money is the exchange of labor. At least most of us work and spend a lot of time working for money. So do you remember the time when our youngest son came and said, I gave my best friend $200, and she was like 10 years old. I was like, no, why did you give him $200? I just wanted to give him money. And that, no, you go get their money back. And I think we called his parents as well and told them, look, we didn't know he was going to do this. This is not happening. This is not okay. Yeah. And so that was an important lesson, that he can't just be giving away them. And besides, he actually worked for that allowance.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you have to start practicing having those hard conversations early. Well, but let's say you're already in the middle of it. Eventually, you're going to have to say no, and you don't have to give an explanation.
Correct. You don't have to explain to anybody why you won't give your money away.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that does require discussion in the marriage, because one partner will say, no, this is not okay. We shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hold each other accountable. That's number one.
Yeah.
If the couple, as a couple, has trouble holding themselves accountable, then they may need outside help.
Say with a alcoholic son that the one is wanting to give the money and the other one is saying, no, we can't do that. How do they resolve that?
With something like that, they probably need to be in therapy.
Yeah.
But for starters, is if one member of the couple says no,
Yeah.
then you don't do it.
Yeah.
You flat out say no.
So the person with the bigger boundary wins,
Correct.
basically. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So that's a no, and that's enabling. And enabling is, for lack of a better word, is not only harmful but evil. Okay, the intention behind it might be good,
Yeah.
but the outcome, given an alcoholic or a drug addict money,
Yeah.
can be deadly.
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
Going back to giving money for your kids, is the money promotes children's financial and emotional health rather than enabling or creating financial dependency.
Yeah.
So if you have a child in college and they can't work, they're still studying, you're giving them money just so that they can focus on studying, that's fine. But let's say during vacations, they need to be working for it.
So, and that brings up a good point. A lot of times these kids come out of college and they have no idea how to manage their finances. When do you start teaching them about finances?
Well, it needs to start when they're children, when they're young. And they're never too young to start learning that. Playing games like Monopoly.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good place to start. You teach them, okay, you get $200, you pass go, you get $200. So you keep some of that money to buy properties and you save the other one.
Yeah.
And you do that. That's a good place to start. There are games or books for children on finances. We really should have classes on finances in school, but a lot of schools do not do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And getting them a credit card as early, like a debit card, so they can learn to
manage their money.
To manage their money, encouraging them to save the same way that we do, although they're allowed to make their own mistakes.
Well, and that's another key thing is that a lot of parents don't want their children to experience pain. One of the adages of parenting with love and logic is that mistakes cost less when they're little. The younger you are, the less costly the mistakes. The mistakes get more costly as we get older. So let them experience the consequences of their actions. So let's say, for example, the kid, our son just started dating a couple of years ago. He doesn't have enough money to go on a date. Okay, well, there's a bunch of light bulbs that need to be replaced, and you can either do that, or you
Watch
can
mom's
go on a
car.
Yeah, go watch mom's car, and maybe you'll have some money for a date. But if you just give them money because they've squandered their allowance, then that's enabling. So, okay, well, there are very cheap dates that are very productive. You can go on a picnic. You can go for a walk. Walking out into nature for a hike doesn't cost anything.
No. Hanging out at the mall, I guess, is popular again.
I guess so.
Yeah.
The problem is that you go to the mall and you're tempted to buy.
Yeah, well, if they don't have any money, they can't buy.
That's true, because that's what we used to do. We go hang out at the mall and we just run in circles and not buy anything because we didn't have any money.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, and so how did you teach? Would you like to explain how we then graduated with our older son, and he's in law school now, so he's 25. What is he doing?
Well, we went over how much of income needs to be saved. We went through the 50, 20, 30 rule, and then he actually became very interested in finances when he had to think about his student loans. So the first thing I told him is, look, we have enough money saved up for your paying for college, but you're going to end up needing a loan. And then you're going to be responsible for paying that loan when you graduate. So you cannot major in underwater basket weaving because you're not going to make any money out of that.
Yeah.
I think that's actually a sport, not a vocation. So, so that's when he started to pay attention to that, at least more attention. And to my surprise, he started to educate himself.
Yeah.
And he has a major in economics. He majored in economics. So he's educated himself more that he thinks he teaches us about money, which he does actually. We're just not going to tell him that.
I mean, It was amazing. We told him that he would have to pay for grad school if that's what he wanted to do. And he was bound and determined he wasn't going to do that. He was going to get a full scholarship. We're like, yeah, right. And he did it.
He did.
So,
Sure enough, he did. That's the kind of thing that you want to start with. They have to realize they have to be hit with the reality.
yeah.
But we started earlier, giving him allowance, and then we told him, I think it was 16 when he was able to drive. We said, okay, you're not getting any more allowance. So if you want to go out with your friends, you're going to have to work.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he got a job. He went to some stables, and he would shovel stuff, shovel manure early in the morning.
Yeah.
And that's where he started earning his money. But the minute we told him that he was too old to get allowance, he wasn't getting any more, he still wanted to go out with his friends and pay for his gas.
Yeah.
Then he had to do that. So that is really the best time to start putting the brakes on the enabling.
Yeah.
And before that is chores around the house. There is actually research that kids who get paid for performance in school. So let's say you get $5 for each A and $4 for each B, whatever, something to that effect. They actually do better in school, but they also start to understand the value of money.
Yeah.
There are a number of people who say, I mean, I grew up hearing that wasn't a good thing, but there's actually research supporting that. And I've heard Erica Commissar, and I think her name is with a K, Commissar, Comissar, talked about some of that research. I heard her talking about it. But paying children, rewarding them financially for that kind of performance is actually positive. They tend to do better in school.
Well, that's like a job. You
It is.
get paid for your performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then we did talk about, the last thing is we talked about enmeshment, and we've alluded to here and there is where the parents are using the child for their financial needs. And that was part of my parents sending me as a go-between to do that. Or if, for example, a child ends up working hard, finds a job to buy a bicycle, mows lawns to buy a bicycle, and then the parents take it from him.
Yeah.
Then that's very disheartening for the child. So the lesson is, I got to hoard that money or else it'll be taken away.
Yeah. You see that with child stars a lot.
Yes, where that's a good example of enmeshment, is where the parents are benefiting from the child's finances. Now, they can control that, but the idea is there, and this may be a completely different animal. I don't want to get too much into that, but technically what they do, put the money into some kind of savings for the child to use when they mature.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they don't mature until they're 60.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I've seen, the parents who, as soon as their kids move out of the house and get a job, they go and blow their retirement on traveling and an RV and all, and then all their money's gone, and so the kids have to take care of them.
Right, that's a good example too, where an adult couple doesn't take care of their retirement, and then it's up to the children to take care of them, and that can be a major burden.
Yeah,
because now, especially now that we're living longer.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's happening a lot with baby boomers, unfortunately. I mean, not unfortunate that they're living longer, but a lot of them didn't save their money properly, and so they're very dependent.
And we covered some of those statistics that a large number of people by age 50, they haven't, and I think it was 40%, they haven't saved anything for retirement.
That's unbelievable.
I know. Well, anyway, our hope is that people will pay attention with their finances. There is help you can get if you're struggling. Yeah. So we give you Deborah Kaplan's. She's got several books and workbooks. And Brad Klontz, Klontz, has books as well and workbooks. And you can also look for financial therapists and financial advisors that will help you sort out your finances. I recently found a podcast, and shout out to, his name is Caleb, I forget his last name, but the podcast is Financial Audit. So he sits there. Part of it is performative. He yells at people for being stupid with their money, and people agree to be yelled at. They actually sign and agree. I know you wouldn't, but it's performative. And then the thing is, when they come back and they've gotten their life squared away, they've gotten their finances in order, he is actually a completely different person towards them, and even helps them pay off some of the bills. So it's called Financial Audit. Look up for the podcast. I have I've never met him. I just found his podcast, and we're giving a shout out to him because I do think he's doing a good job there. And he's self-taught about finances. Yeah. And now he's trying to help people get out of their financial difficulties. And nowadays, I think most young people under the age of 25 have not really experienced a financial crisis. We've been through a couple and some terrorist attacks and a couple of wars, even though, thank God, we weren't directly involved in that. But we are aware of the dangers of not taking care of your money. And our parents were even more acutely aware of that. Yeah.
And I also want to mention that there are other, I think the 50-30-20 rule can be found in The Millionaire Next Door. That's another good book. And the Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a lot of younger people seem to like that one a lot. Especially if you're new parents and trying to budget and all that kind of stuff. And Dave Ramsey has an amazing program, and he's been.
He yells at people too, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's pretty entertaining.
Well, that's just it. All these shows where they do that, they're meant for entertainment value.
But his method is very, very simple, and it's world renowned. What I like is it's nothing real fancy. He just gets you to the bare bones, how to manage your finances. Whereas some of these other methods may be a little more nuanced if you're,
and if you're in trouble. So if people are having trouble as a couple getting through this, they really need somebody to mediate them. So if you have an overspender and a penny pincher, there's going to be a lot of conflict. You're triggering each other. You really need somebody to help you out. Yeah. And if you don't have money, Debtors Anonymous can help.
Yeah. And that's online and in person.
Yes,
right?
You can do that online or in person. There's
and that's like a 12-step program?
That's a 12-step program. And then there's Recovering Couples Anonymous. We've talked about that numerous times. Yeah. Other couples can help you.
And Recovering Couples Anonymous isn't just about finance. It's about all
everything
issues.
Having to do. Just help couples navigate just life in general. But in this case, they can be a good resource if you find another couple that's willing to work with you. And then look up, do a search for a financial therapist. Because if you're getting into this struggle and the two of you are getting constantly triggered, then you really need some help. Yeah. And like I said, in our case, this was the one issue that was still lingering after all these years, almost a couple of decades in recovery that we've been, and we couldn't quite get past it. And then we finally, I think we've covered it. Yeah. I'm going to let go of the pickle jars because those can have a purpose. I sometimes put stuff in them.
Yeah, we use them.
Some. They're not covering surfaces. Yeah. We don't have to walk around them. So I think I'm okay with that. And then I'm hoarding martial arts weapons.
Yes, you do hoard those.
But those have a function.
Oh, yes, of course.
And they're more
for the zombie apocalypse.
But that is actually I know. If there's a zombie apocalypse, I'm set. But the other thing is collectors are not hoarders.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying, I'm not saying for myself, but they're not considered hoarders unless there's getting out of control. Like, I think Jay Leno collects classic cars. He's got an entire garage. I mean, he's got the money for that. It doesn't affect his
got the money
finances.
in the garage.
Right.
For
That's
it
his disposable income.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And my weapons are not that expensive. All right. We're going to say goodbye. I think we're done with finances for now, unless people want to ask us about finances.
Yeah.
And we were hoping to do a live YouTube event on defense mechanisms. We just haven't been able to coordinate it.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can get back on track now that we're not getting as triggered as much.
Yes. We've gotten over that hump.
I hope so.
Yes. And feel free to make suggestions if you have a topic that you'd like us to talk about. And with that, do you have anything to wrap this up?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today at Boundaries and Beyond. We would love for you to like and share with all those boundaryless friends and family members out there, as well as subscribe to our podcast. Also, please join us on Instagram at Boundaries Beyond Podcast. See you then.
See you then.